The Los Angeles lights were bright, the pressure was heavy, and the Indiana Fever walked into the arena, looking like a team on life support. No Caitlin Clark, no Sophie Cunningham, no Sydney Colson, no Arie McDonald. 4 guards gone, 4 playmakers erased from the rotation. For most franchises, that's the kind of injury list that ends a season before the final buzzer even sounds. But what happened next wasn't a collapse. It was a statement. Because on this night, Indiana proved something bigger than star power. Bigger than names on the back of the jersey. They showed grit, hunger, and the will to fight when everything was stacked against them. And at the center of it all, Aliyah Boston, who not only put up a career-defining performance, but delivered a message that had Fever Nation buzzing long after the final whistle. This wasn't just any game. The Sparks weren't a random opponent on the schedule. They were the very team that had tormented Indiana all season long. 3 meetings, 3 losses, each more frustrating than the last. And now, with Clark still sidelined from her groin injury, doubt was swirling around the Fever. Could they win when stripped of their most dynamic players? Could they finally silence the Sparks when the odds screamed otherwise? From the first possession, Indiana made one thing clear: they weren't going to fold. Head coach Christy Sides has preached it all season. Next woman up. That phrase has become more than just a motivational slogan. It's a culture, a belief system embedded in the locker room. When one player goes down, the others don't panic. They step into the fire. Against LA, we saw that culture unfold on the court in real time. Aliyah Boston didn't just play. She dominated. She was everywhere, powering her way to 22 points, hauling in 11 rebounds, dishing out 4 assists, and stealing the ball 6 different times, a career high. Boston was the backbone, the steady force who held Indiana upright when everything could have collapsed. Every rebound she grabbed and every basket she scored was a reminder that this is her team as much as anyone's. Then came Lexi Hull, black eyes, bruised face, and still unwilling to back down. She ran through screens, clawed after loose balls, and embodied the toughness that Indiana needed. Her very presence was a rallying cry. If she could keep going through that pain, nobody else had an excuse to quit. Hull was the living definition of sacrifice, and her fight set the tone for everyone wearing Indiana red. The game itself wasn't pretty. Both teams struggled to find rhythm, and every possession felt like a grind. But for Indiana, that was the point. This wasn't about style points. It was about surviving. Every defensive stop was treated like a championship possession. Every rebound mattered like it was the last. Indiana understood that if they blinked even once, Los Angeles could rip the game away. And instead of breaking, the Fever bent but never shattered. And then the unexpected happened. Odyssey Sims, a 31-year-old veteran, stepped onto the court and transformed the game. This wasn't supposed to be her night. She wasn't the star in the scouting report, not the name circled on LA's defensive whiteboard. But she became the spark Indiana desperately needed. With poise, grit, and a quiet determination, Sims rewrote the script. For Sims, this wasn't just another game. The Sparks were her former team, the jersey she once wore. Facing them now carried personal weight, and you could see it in every possession. She attacked the rim with confidence, hit shots when the Fever needed them most, and gave Indiana a heartbeat when it looked like momentum might swing toward Los Angeles. Sims finished with 21 points, but it wasn't the raw total that made the difference. It was the timing. Each basket she made came when Indiana was teetering. When LA threatened to grab the lead, Sims responded. When the Fever looked shaky, she steadied them. She became the player nobody expected but everybody needed. The defining moment came with just 13.6 seconds on the clock. Indiana clung to hope, the game hanging by a thread. The ball found Sims, and she rose for the floater she's perfected over years in the league. Smooth, confident, deadly. It dropped through the net, silencing the Staples Center crowd and giving Indiana the lead for good. That shot didn't just win the game. It symbolized everything the Fever had been fighting for. After the game, Sims summed it up perfectly. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That mantra was lived out in every play she made. After years of battling through hardship, contracts, cuts, and doubt, Sims proved that opportunity only matters if you're ready to seize it. And on this night, she seized it all. Yet even with Sims' heroics, it was Aliyah Boston who shut the door. With under 2 seconds left, LA tried to force one last possession, but Boston read the play, ripped the ball out of the air, and ended it. No scramble, no chaos, just a superstar calmly finishing the job. That stop was the exclamation point on her masterpiece performance. When reporters asked Boston about the team's resilience, her answer resonated across Fever Nation. She praised the group's next woman up mentality, emphasizing how every player, no matter when they joined or how many minutes they get, is trusted to deliver. And after the game she just played, it was clear she wasn't just talking. She was living that message. Boston reminded everyone that Indiana's depth isn't just about talent. It's about selflessness. Every player wants minutes, but every player also buys into the bigger mission. That sacrifice, that willingness to put ego aside, is what separates a fractured locker room from a bonded one. It's why Indiana survived this stretch of injuries without collapsing. This win wasn't just another tally in the standings. It was a turning point. After dropping 4 of their last 5, the Fever looked like a team in danger of sliding right out of the playoff picture. Beating the Sparks, the very team chasing them, flipped the momentum. Suddenly, Indiana wasn't collapsing, they were surging. By taking down LA, Indiana held firm in 6th place. It gave them breathing room over Seattle, and more importantly, it pushed the Sparks further down in the chase. In a playoff race this tight, that single win might end up being the difference between sneaking in and staying home. Lexi Hull deserves her own spotlight again. 2 black eyes swelling across her face and still no hesitation. She didn't back away from contact. She didn't ask for sympathy. She set screens, contested shots, and kept competing. Her presence symbolized the message: no pain, no setback, and no excuse was enough to break this team. Then there was Aerial Powers. Her energy off the bench was electric, adding another layer of fight when Indiana needed it most. In a game where every possession carried weight, Powers' hustle and intensity reminded the Sparks that Indiana wasn't backing down. This game proved what Indiana's identity really is. They aren't just Caitlin Clark's team. They aren't just Boston's team. They're a collection of fighters, each ready to step in when called. That next woman up culture isn't talk, it's reality. And against the Sparks, it was tested and proven. But of course the question lingers: when will Caitlin Clark return? She's been out for 17 straight games, and yet the recent signs are hopeful. Clark has been seen in practice gear, running drills, warming up with the team. She isn't back yet, but the buzz around her return grows louder with each passing game. Clark's potential comeback changes everything. Before her injury, she averaged 19 points and 8 assists, reshaping Indiana's offense. Adding that back into this resilient group could flip the Fever from scrappy survivors into legitimate playoff contenders overnight. The balance for the staff now is patience versus urgency. Push too fast and risk a setback, or wait and risk playoff seeding. Even without Clark, this win was priceless. It showed the Fever can win ugly, win tough, and win without their biggest star. But it also teased what could happen when Clark returns. The Fever aren't just surviving anymore. They're learning how to close games under fire. That kind of growth can't be taught. It has to be lived. And Indiana just lived it. So here's what we know. Aliyah Boston stamped her authority as the anchor of this team. Odyssey Sims proved that veterans still have magic left in their game. Lexi Hull showed toughness that inspired her teammates. And collectively, the Fever silenced doubt in one of the most important wins of their season. The Sparks may have owned them before, but not this time. Indiana walked out of LA with more than just a victory. They walked out with proof that this team is built to last. Walking off the court, you could see the emotions etched across every player's face. This wasn't just a win. It was relief, validation, and pride rolled into one. After weeks of criticism, questions about whether they were crumbling, and whispers of doubt, Indiana had silenced it all in one gutsy performance. The players hugged longer, smiled wider, and carried themselves like they had just taken back control of their season. For a team that has fought through adversity all year, the emotional weight of this win could not be overstated. But make no mistake, this game wasn't just a message for the Fever fans. It was a warning shot to the rest of the WNBA. Indiana isn't full. They aren't bowing out quietly. If they can handle the Sparks on the road with half their roster missing, what happens when Caitlin Clark steps back into the lineup? What happens when their offense regains its full firepower? Every team fighting for playoff positioning saw this result, and deep down they know Indiana just became the most dangerous wild card in the bracket. Now the Fever sit with just 5 games left in the regular season. Every single contest will shape the playoff bracket, and every possession from here on out matters more than ever. But instead of looking like a team hanging on by a thread, Indiana looks like a group gaining confidence at the perfect time. Boston is locked in. Sims is proving she can close. The bench is fearless, and with Caitlin Clark inching closer to a return, the road ahead suddenly feels less like survival and more like destiny. And now, with Caitlin Clark inching closer to a return, the Fever don't just look like survivors. They look like a team ready to shock the league when it matters most. Fever fans, if you're pumped about this playoff push, comment Big Fever win down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss what's next. Because trust me, this story isn't over, and the next chapter might just be the most exciting one yet.